All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, coming into onto the first round of these NBA playoffs, I pegged the series between the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers as the most intriguing of the first round, and so far, it's been living up to it. After four games, the Mavericks and Clippers are tied at 2 games apiece, and this is just one of two series that, after four games, was tied at two. Of course, the series between Cleveland and Orlando, and then of course we saw Cleveland eke out a win over the Magic tonight to go up 3 games to two. But nonetheless, uh, this series between the Mavericks and Clippers, for my money, has been worth the price of admission and then some. You know, you think about the star power on both sides of the basketball for both of these teams, and for the most part, they've been showing up. I know that the Clippers don't have Kawhi Leonard. And he's not going to be available for Game 5. But you look at their record with and without Kawhi in this series, it's quite clear the Clippers are very comfortable going out there and playing without Kawhi Leonard. But nonetheless, this is now a best of three series, okay? And it's going to be a war of attrition, and it's going to come down to who simply wants it more. You think about LA; they set the tone in game number one at home with that 109-97 win, but Dallas laid their foundation in that game as well. If you remember, the Clippers got off to that big lead in game one at home before the Clippers came back and made it a much more closer game than what it had been for quite some time. And the Clippers were able to build off of that by staying in LA and getting the 96-93 win in game two. And then, of course, the 101-90 win at home in game number three. Game four on Sunday was very interesting. We knew that the Clippers were going to be desperate. They played like that in the first half. Paul George simply could not miss. But then, just like it was in game number one, we saw Dallas chip away and chip away and chip away until ultimately they tied that game with that furious comeback in the second half. But they fell just short because credit to the Clippers for finding the resolve at the end between Paul George and James Harden for making the big shots coming down the stretch to help LA secure a very much needed win. Because if the Clippers had lost that game and if the Clippers had completely collapsed, you're talking about them being down 3-1 heading home for tomorrow night for game 5. And honestly, it wouldn't have surprised me if that was the case, that this Clippers season might have come to an end tomorrow night. But nonetheless, they found a way. And it's not just about winning the game. I think a lot, you know, came from that game. If you're the Los Angeles Clippers, you tied this series at two. You found out a lot about yourselves. And I think that big win for the Clippers, in my opinion, in game number four, could go a very long way if they are truly indeed going to be able to win this series and get on to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like I said, it's now a game, a best of three series that we're dealing with right here. And it's going to be interesting to see which stars step up to the forefront to get their team to round number two. You think about Luca and Kyrie and what they can do. And of course, both of them have been front and center in this series. Luka Doncic is averaging 29 points, nearly 10 rebounds, and 8.5 assists. And you think about Kyrie Irving, he's right there with Luka, averaging nearly 29 points per game, 4.5 assists, and 6 rebounds. And of course, if you look at Kyrie's NBA career, whether it was with the Cavs, the Nets, the Celtics, and now Dallas, this is a guy that's never shied away from the big shot. And you think about Luca, the bigger the stage, the better that he plays. But the Clippers are not without star power themselves. We know that Kawhi Leonard is out, but Paul George, you still got James Harden. And this is a very talented Clippers team that's trying to go out there and take care of their business. How about Avika Zubac with what he has done in this series for the Clippers, averaging more than 16 points and nearly 10 boards? You think about Norman Powell, you think about Terrence Mann, and then, of course, you can never forget about Russell Westbrook coming off of that bench. You know, Russ is not going to give you 30 a night like he did once upon a time in OKC, but he's a valuable player coming off that bench. First of all, as a scorer, but then also as a defender. One thing you can say about Russell Westbrook, nobody can ever, and I mean ever, accuse this guy about in regards to not going out there and giving 110% every single time that he steps on the court. So I think this is going to be a tremendous series coming down the stretch. It's going to be interesting to see which role players step up for either side when their number is called. As far as going out there to have their opportunity to do something. The coaching between Ty Lue with the Clippers and Jay Kidd with the Dallas Mavericks. At this point, you're still making adjustments back and forth throughout this series on both sides. But pretty soon, it's going to get to the point that there really aren't that many more adjustments that you're going to be able to make. And you figure once you're facing a team consistently for 2 weeks, and I do believe that this series goes the distance, it's going to be one of those where there's only so many adjustments that you can make as the other side has seen everything, and I mean absolutely everything that you could throw at them. It's like a heavyweight fight, and I expected it to be like a heavyweight fight. And I'm not talking about the current 12-round heavyweight fights. I'm going old school with the 15-round boxing matches out there. And you got two great prize fighters going back and forth. Nobody really giving in, and it's going to be a fight to the finish. And it's gonna, in this case, it's gonna go to the scorecards because I don't see anybody getting knocked out. Just to use that boxing analogy. So it's still a toss-up. Okay, it's one of those series. I said if Kawhi played, I give the edge to the Clippers. If he didn't, I give the edge to the Dallas Mavericks. But surprisingly, in the two games that Kawhi has played, and I'm not trying to sound hypocritical from what I said before, the Clippers have actually played better without him than they have with him. But nonetheless, I think this is going to be back and forth, nip and tuck, and at the end of the day, whoever gets this is going to be very well deserving of winning this series and going on to the next round. And just to think about it, two talented teams here going at it. Both of them have championship aspirations. Both of them have what it takes to win the West. But one of them, their season is going to be over within a week. That just gives you an idea of the depth of the Western Conference this season. That just gives you an idea of the competitiveness in that conference this season. But nonetheless, somebody is going to find a way to get their team to the finish line. Will it be Luca and Kyrie? Will it be Paul George, and will James Harden be able to shed his long-standing reputation of disappearing in those clutch moments? Only time will tell. But nonetheless, I said that this could be the best series of the first round. It has been, and I think it will continue that way as the Clippers and Mavericks try to make it out of the first round. The last team that needs to punch their ticket out of round number one in the West. Who is it going to be? Only time will tell. But, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful